5 lies keeping you stuck at the same weight. Let's confront the real problems here and start building a plan that actually gets results. No excuses, not too much waffle by my standards today. Let's get straight into this. We're just going to rapid fire these. It's going to be an unusually short video by my usual, as I say, waffling standards. Number 1, straight into this. I just need more discipline. This is the first lie people tell themselves. When I'm not getting results on the scale, I just need to work harder. Your friends might tell you, especially if you've got male friends, this is how a lot of us think. Just try harder, man. Just try harder, bro. Not really a particularly useful and nuanced diagnosis of the problem. Now, this is a particularly tricky lie because to a degree it might be true. You might be a really lazy person. You might just need to try harder and work a bit harder. That might actually be the appropriate solution for you. What I would say is, in my life, if I'm constantly banging my head against a wall with a problem and it's not getting fixed by trying harder, I just need to simplify. I just need a more simple plan that embraces kind of a low-hanging fruit mentality so everything becomes easier, therefore I don't need as much discipline, work, force. I don't need to try as hard because the plan is actually simpler. If your plan is really complex, if it's really demanding, if it requires that you be in the gym 5 or 6 days per week, but it's a really stressful work life for you at the moment, that's never going to work, so simplify. Last week, good example of this, poignant example of this, I took 5 days off the gym. One, because my body was aching a little bit and I knew I needed that rest, but also I knew I had to catch up with loads of YouTube videos. I had loads of onboarding for new clients, which is a good problem to have, of course, not complaining. But at the same time, I was like, look, if I really stretch myself in every single area this week, I had a bunch of social things as well. I just got back from the UK. I knew I'm going to be in trouble here. Like something's going to break. I'm going to end up binging or I'm going to end up grabbing more convenience, fast foods, eating out more this week. And I don't really want to do that. So in times where I'm like, I'm really struggling, make everything easier. So there's not as much force, discipline required. You get my point. My meals are ridiculously simple, and I actually give myself permission to make them even more simple, even if they're not quite perfect. Cut a few corners. Use the microwave rice with some oil in, boo-hoo, rather than my usual home-cooked rice. Oh, okay, it's not textbook perfect, is it? The Whole Foods Puritans would kill me for that one. It's treasonous, but in those moments, I'd rather do that and, generally speaking, stay on track than keep forcing all the demanding tasks and actions that I'm never going to be able to sustain in those tricky moments. Lie number 2, keeping you stuck at the same weight, carbs are the problem. And when you hit a snag on the scale, when you hit that plateau, oh no, it must be the carbs. It can't be anything else, right? There's nothing else obvious that I'm doing. It must be the carbs. I've got to cut, reduce. Hey, maybe I've got to try the keto thing now and eliminate carb-rich sources altogether. No, I personally find this to be another needless over-restriction of a really important macronutrient. In my view, carbs are not the problem. Overeating generally is very much the problem. Carbs are not the problem. Making poor nutrition choices, eating lots of junk food that contribute excess calories to that, that's really the elephant in the room. That's the real problem. And even to this day, regardless of whether I'm in a fat loss or a maintenance phase, those whole food carb sources, they're a massive staple in my diet. They fuel my workouts. They keep me full. The other big misconception about whole foods, not misconception because people aren't confused by this, they just genuinely don't know it. A lot of whole food carb sources actually have a much lower caloric density than like loads of meat and dairy products, loads of fat-rich whole foods as well. And so from a calorie perspective, carb sources in many cases can be an amazing advantage. It depends it depends how much, it depends how you structure your diet. As always, this is very, very relative, but generally speaking, no, carbs are not evil, carbs are not the devil. They can absolutely be part of a fat loss friendly diet. Lie number 3, if I eat healthily, I'll lose weight. Whilst I concede that there is an awful lot of overlap between healthy foods and weight loss friendly foods, there's a lot of overlapping principles. There's a lot of foods that will fit very nicely into both categories there, get the stamp of approval for both of those missions. There is symbiosis between the two. They're not necessarily one and the same. And if your mantra of, I'm just going to clean up my diet, I'm just going to eat healthy, like eat less, move more, if that isn't actually working on the scale, you're clearly wrong. Like the philosophy is clearly not paying off for you, is it? So at some point you need to confront, no, this is a calorie issue. It's the calorie deficit shtick again, which I know people are tired of hearing, but it goes beyond clean eating. And it is very possible, certainly at the more advanced stages of weight loss, you will see this, that clean eating ain't going to save you. Just eating well well, it isn't really enough, and you do need to be more nuanced, structured, precise with your consideration of calories. I think there is a lot of like whole foods focused eaters that get tricked by this spiel around, look, if you just eat healthily, you never have to worry about calories. And like, it can be true for the first couple of pounds, but most people, they hit this wall and they're like, oh, okay, what do I do now then? Because I thought I was following all the guidelines correctly. Well, you were in a calorie deficit accidentally, so it did kind of work, but now you're not necessarily, and you need to address that. Line number 4, keeping you stuck at the same weight. If any of these were to personally resonate with me, damn well, it's this one right here. I can out-train a bad diet. I used to do this a lot in the past. I used to believe this a lot in the past. I also, even to this day, this is still a bit of a thread in my mind. On those days where I am a bit more indulgent, or I'm maybe traveling, giving myself permission to not eat as clean and just have a bit of fun, I will find myself rationalizing, maybe making more indulgent choices by saying, well, hey, my step count is higher today, or well, I had a really good week of workouts last week. I pushed it really hard yesterday. I had that great gym session this morning. I can find this a little bit in my bank of excuses and reasons for not always making the cleanest choices. Sometimes I will concede. So no, I don't think you can out-train a bad diet. Here's the thing, this is why it's tricky for me, because there is some truth to it. Like, you can do an astronomical level of exercise and bring your calorie balance back in check. Yes, you absolutely can do that. I just question the sustainability of it. Can you always use that as a get out of jail card? No. If you have one higher calorie day and it just gives you a bit more peace of mind to make that a high activity day, fine, that makes sense to me. And in fact, that is kind of how I think. If I'm to have a cheat day or a more enjoyable day now, I'll make sure I combine it with a higher activity day just as a bit of a stopgap. I like that idea, some kind of compensatory effect. You don't need to do it for one-off days, but that just gives me a little bit of peace of mind. I've got more energy, I want to do that anyway. Is that sustainable? Is that a sustainable way to continue justifying poor food choices and overconsumption? Of course not. And for me, this is why I've always come back to nutrition really does do the heavy lifting. And I think we all know this. Exercise is really just supplementary. It's a nice cherry on the top. It's a good cherry on the top. It throws something into the mix. But if you were to set yourself, if you want to continue eating astronomically high calories, the amount of exercise that you'll have to do regularly to keep outperforming that, it's really, really tricky calorie rise. But also, elephant in the room, hopefully to you, this is also about your health as well. And so it's not good to be putting these nutrient deficient, inflammatory foods in your body, regardless of whether you're out burning the caloric amount of those foods and keeping the scale down. Lastly, but most certainly not least, line number 5, keeping you stuck at the same way. I don't want to speak for everyone here, but I think I could probably say this quite confidently. We all do this one. We've all done this one. Most certainly, I'll start again Monday. What a myth. What a myth that one is. It's a classic, isn't it? It's a classic excuse. Real change happened for me when I was like, now is the time to get back on track, because now is the time I've realized I've made a mistake. And really, the longer that I sit in this void of realizing that I'm screwing up without taking action, it's like lost, this is going to sound really grandiose, but it's like lost transformative moment. It's a lost transformative time. That is a time where I could really build new patterns of behavior and new habits, bounce back ability. I could really learn that bounce back ability. But instead, I'm just letting it go and rationalizing Saturday and Sunday being crazy as well, just because I made a mistake on Friday night. And this is just nutty. And this is just, and you never, even if you do get yourself back on track Monday, so even if it's not a lie necessarily, and you do get yourself back on track Monday, number one, you've still lost all that time of overconsumption over the whole weekend, for example. But additionally, you still stay with this unconfronted habit of when things go wrong, you let them keep going wrong. You let them keep spiraling for a little while until you get really sick of it, or until some arbitrary day on the calendar tells you that, hey, you need to fix it now because it's a certain day of the week. I think this is crazy. And I think really for me, the biggest behavior and habit change came when I was like, well, I realize I've made a mistake now. I need to get back on track from the next meal. And that's how I developed, to go back to that term earlier, bounce back ability. That ability to, I don't always have to be perfect with my diet, because I actually trust myself to get back on track and do so quickly to the extent that it doesn't really sabotage or disrupt my progress too much. There's a really comforting feeling knowing that, hey, I don't have to be perfect. I'm going to try and be really on plan. And that's the standard I'm going to hold myself to. I'm not trying to make an excuse ahead of time to really screw things up. But if I do, as a human being, inevitably screw things up when I do from time to time, knowing, hey, I've got that bounce back ability now. I really confronted that habit. I've got that ability to eat that one indulgent thing. And actually, the rest of the day is actually really, really solid. Sometimes I even compensate for that higher calorie thing by doing something a bit smarter with my nutrition later on. That is so alien to young Rye, who used to just like one mistake, the whole day was 4,000 or 5,000 calories. The whole next 3 days was 4,000 or 5,000 calories. I was that bad with this. So big lie that again resonates with me personally. I'll start again Monday. No. And that's it. Those are my 5 lies keeping you stuck at the same weight. I just need more discipline. No, you need a more simple plan. Carbs are the problem. No, overeating calories is clearly the problem. Number 3, if I eat healthily, I'll lose weight. No, again, clean eating won't always save you. It's really, again, about this whole calorie deficit spiel, but you should also eat pretty cleanly, pretty healthily too. Number 4, I can out-train a bad diet, maybe on the odd occasion, but that's not really a consistent strategy. Best to confront your bad nutrition choices and learn new habits around those. And 5, of course, I'll start again Monday. No, start right now. That's what really changes your behavior and allows you to develop that bounce back ability. Crush these limiting beliefs, embrace this is a lifestyle now. That is the mentality. Slow and steady wins the race, but that is the mentality that has changed my life, and the results surely follow after those internal breakthroughs, I would suggest. If you like all of this, but you're done trying to figure this out on your own and you want a little bit more help, support, and guidance from yours truly, from me personally, and if you're done spinning your wheels, fill out the application to learn more about my Slim and Sustain coaching program below. I'll put the link somewhere down in the description box below. See you in the next video. Thanks for your time.